We're going to reconvene our August 16th, I'm sorry, April 16th Board of Supervisors meeting. We'll start off with any opening board comments the board may have. We'll start off with Mr. Black.
No board. No, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Underwood.
Yeah, just two, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to go ahead and put a resolution together for Frog Level Volunteer Fire Department for the 50th anniversary of their charter. The charter was put together on May 22nd. So if we could get a resolution for them, I'd appreciate that. And then I attended the Easter Day when at Reed Church broadcast on Saturday, which was a very nice event. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Underwood. Mr. Sealer.
Have none.
I have none. Ms. Law.
Just wanted to say I attended Earth Day over at AP Hill. Appreciated seeing Joey's crew there, giving out things to the children. It was a great day and appreciate the base hosting that for the community and the students. And I hope everyone had a good Easter and we're ready to get the budget.
Thank you, Ms. Law. Mr. Thomas.
No real comments. I will ask the chair's indulgence. Today is my wedding anniversary and I'm not going to be able to stay. It was so late. I'm already in trouble. I'm already in trouble.
Congratulations, you made it.
Thank you, guys.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
36.
All right. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
We're on the road for the first 30 hours.
That's how it works.
Okay, I'm glad I could help everybody's humor.
All right, next on the agenda, item number 3, the sheriff's request to regrade animal control officers to grade 16 on the county pay plan to match deputy grade, the sheriff grade.
Good. Mr. Chairman, other board members, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. As we go through this PowerPoint, you guys should have a copy of the slides that I proposed there for you and the proposal for the animal control and reclassification. If you look at our current base salary for animal control, it's $35,802, and for patrol deputies, it is $39,472. We looked at the number of calls that each person puts out per deputy per call, and animal control had 452 calls on average, and patrol had 347. Now, the whole purpose for the reclassification is since we took animal control over in 2008, there were 3 full-time animal control positions, 2 part-time kennel techs, and in 2019, there are still 3 full-time animal control deputies, and we now have 2 full-time kennel techs. There was no increase in sworn animal control positions since 2006. And when we look at the reclassification when animal control became part of the CCSO, animal control deputies were not required to pass a physical agility test. They went through the same training that all of our patrol deputies did. So the hiring process is now the same, as they would have to go through all the physical fitness requirements. And since like I said, the requirements are all the same for animal control, I want you to know we've lost some animal control deputies due to the salary difference. In addition to the Law Enforcement Basic Academy, animal control deputies also must complete a separate basic school for animal control and other required training such as chemical capture, dog fighting, etc. And I have Lieutenant Heffler here with me in case you guys get into a lot of technical questions, and I'm sure she can tell you all about that training far more than what mine is. And then despite of having far more training and a much higher call volume, animal control deputies are 2 pay grades lower than the patrol deputies. Attrition has been an issue, and in 10 years, 8 incumbents have occupied these 3 positions. And I can tell you, we lost one of them over to the courts. We did get one that transferred to us. We lost one that went to, I think, social services, and then was going to try to come back, but because we were just too far in salary, chose not to. So we still have a position there. So animal control, like I said, it's $35,802. The patrol deputies of $39,472. Now that's a difference of $36,070, and that's again just dealing with the classification difference. However, I did a little bit of checking on the surrounding ones, surrounding counties. They far exceed us, even Hanover, the closest one, they pay 37 without law enforcement training. So they're not even certified to do what a deputy does. Now, recruiting and training for one animal control deputy exceeds 50,000. So savings for the position that we've had vacant, currently we exceed over 8,000 in saving right now. Right now, that's how much we do. And now, if we look at the proposed part of animal control deputies being the same as our patrol, that brings each appointee on par. We can accomplish this with just over $2,000 due to the incumbent salaries. Now, what I'm talking about that with, and that's why I'm saying we have 8,000 as it is. Lieutenant Heffler's not getting paid anymore, nor is any of the kennel techs. The only ones that would be getting this difference of $2,000 is the one that we have in there. And what we plan on doing, so we don't have, again, that compression issue and problem that we have, I think her salary is only going up $500. The rest of it will be for the new one, if we're able to get a new one. And so far, we've advertised 3 times, and I think we only have one right now. So
Tony, is
that's,
that, excuse me for a second, is that
Yes.
2,000 per position?
no, that's total. That's the total, just if, and that's why I'm saying, and I apologize, you know, and again, I apologize for not putting this in where I know the budget was already done, and Supervisor Long asked me about that, which at the time that we proposed everything to Mr. Cully, we were full. We were full, so we didn't need it. I didn't ask for it. And rather than using the 8,000 that's in there where so many other offices will just go ahead and give it to the employees, I wanted to be straight up front with you and say, hey, look, help us out. So if we're able to get this, now we still have 2 patrol deputies open, but I can tell you, they're transferring over because of the money, and we lost one to General District Court.
Tony, how much money did you, under budget were you last year?
That's a good question. I do not have the answer. Julie, do you know from animal control? I do not know, Mr. Underwood.
I guess my
You
only
were short
question
on-
is,
You were short on people, so the next
Yeah.
review.
Mr.
under
Finnick,
budget.
maybe he might know. I mean, I know that if we left this vacant, we would save 18,000 just in there.
Right.
Obviously, the overtime would go up.
I was just curious why you just didn't put it in a budget request?
Well, and again, the reason why I didn't is because we were full. They were already in there. And so I left it as it was until where we are now. Because nobody was going to get an increase other than the fact that, would that have been an increase with those 2? Yes, it would have been. And the reason why I didn't do it now is because of the fact, like I said, when they were all with me, they didn't have to go through the physical fitness part, so they didn't need everything from the academy. Now the academy requires it. And now because we are.
Remember, department budget requests were due in November.
That's right.
It's a long time ago that
I mean, yeah, I think,
submitted.
I agree with Jeff. It's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, they sent money back to us. This is just, yeah, it's on. It's just, it makes sense.
One thing, you just said something, Tony, if we didn't do this and you couldn't hire somebody, overtime would go up.
Overtime could go up.
So you use regular deputies to fill that, or
No, we call
the
it.
animal control people work more?
They come out, they work more, and that's why they have an increase also in cost.
So
It's
we
on
probably got
2,000,
2,000
I
in overtime.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are they?
I don't think so, do we? Our overtime for animal control? I don't think.
Well, I'm talking the whole sheriff's department.
Oh, that's different, there's 3 different budgets. There's 3 different budgets.
I got animal control, I didn't see their overtime.
Gotcha.
Ms. Long has a question.
Yeah,
And you're saying you have enough surplus in your budget to cover all the 2,000?
yes, ma'am. We're over 8,000 now. We're over 8,000 now.
Mr. Chairman,
2,000.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion just to approve.
Make a motion.
$2,000 to make the animal control deputies equal to the patrol deputies.
I'll second that.
Motion to change their grade.
To change their grade.
14 to 16.
The
Change the grade, yes.
I'll second that. Is that right?
That's normal.
Yeah, we don't tax rate tonight.
Because it's a continuation.
So,
No,
call for the vote, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of reclassifying animal control from grade 14 to grade 16, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Make sure you do the budget next year.
Sorry.
Well, he can't see the crystal ball to see what to do. All right, next, item number 4, establish tax rates for calendar year 2019. Hey, does anybody have any questions regarding this sheet, or comments, concerns? Any concerns with the tax rate
We
information?
said we weren't gonna change it.
I thought we voted on tax
I'm gonna
rate.
make a motion the tax rate stays the same, or as
As presented.
as presented, which is the same.
Mr. Park?
You need to also adopt the percentage of PPTRA. Actually, Mr. Bassoon is recommending 40, tell the tax rate, so, Mr. Bassoon is recommending 45%, the current year is 47%. Something we need to adopt every year, we just got to put it into the,
And I will make that part of my motion. And Mr. Parkin, since you're here, and Mr. Bassoon is right there, is also here. We finally have the personal property tax relief for disabled veterans in this year's budget.
part of the, it's part of the tax rate at 266.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I knew I just needed to say that. Because I worked 18 months to get it in there. It's not a matter of camera. It's a matter of me feeling good.
So,
I'll second.
all right, this is, we have a motion and a second to adopt the proposed tax rates as per our document in front of us.
And the personal property tax rate will be
45%.
45%.
Any other discussion? So, Mr. Thomas and Mr. Seaton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 5, discussion of county administrator's proposed FY 2019-2020 budget.
Mr. Chairman, I only have one thought in that we're going to be pretty heavy into the unencumbered balance, I think, this year. Is to forego the 3 new firefighters. We did 6 last year. We were going to do 3 a year. We did 6 last budget year. Is to forego that just this year to see where we are with the unencumbered budget, unencumbered balance in the budget, because we are doing raises for county employees.
You said Jeff, what do you think?
Just forego the 3 firefighters this year, because we did 6 last year instead of 3 every year.
You're saying not doing?
Not doing this year and can wait till next year, just because we're doing raises and we're pretty heavy into the unencumbered balance with this year's budget. We're almost $2 million into it.
Mr.
How much are
Chairman,
we into with
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Black?
I think we did 3 last year, right, Chief Loftus? We did 3,
correct.
and then we did 6 the year before, correct?
Correct.
And this would make you full, right? This would make you whole?
This would make us, it would make us so we can meet our current demand, yes, sir.
So, in other words, if we gave you this 3 this year, barring a new station, which I know there's talk of like down the road of a new station, but I mean, but right now, I guess what I'm saying is with the current stations we have, would this be full staffed?
This right now would be full staff with the current volunteer assistance that we have. If that volunteer help starts to decline, I can't predict that, but right now, we would be fine.
But we also have the 2 from Upper Caroline that started being paid for this year too, that's just in the beginning cycle. I
Just in
mean,
the daytime, that's correct.
but we've added some significant help.
That's not,
But we didn't pay for it.
No, I know, but I'm just
it's
saying,
only
it's,
for 4 years.
right.
I think it's my become.
Yeah, I want to stick with the firefighters. And Mr. Conley, can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Because this is kind of what we get through all the time. Last year, you suggested we use $2 million from the unencumbered balance.
Correct. 2 million.
2 million change.
Yes.
And we actually ended up
Not using it.
not using any of that 2 million and adding another million or 900 and some thousand. So almost another million. And those are,
Going less and less.
and we did that the year before too.
Every year.
So we've done that the last couple of years, and we've increased the unencumbered balance the whole time. So there's a couple of things I'd like to see added, but, or at least one thing I'd like to see added. But I don't, no, we can earmark some money now, even though we never use it.
If I would, I send a late request. Send a late request. If there are specific items, let me bring those forward now. We can discuss that instead of rambling through. Do y'all have any specific items?
Talking about questions or the budget or?
Budget items that you would like discussed.
I just have some questions on the, I mean, I have a series of questions on the budget itself.
As far as numbers go that are on the
As
budget?
far as that are in this itself.
Okay.
I mean, so I don't know, I mean, that has nothing to do with I was just looking at, just questions on the numbers in here.
Okay. All right, Mr. Underwood, I'll come right back to you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, we had put aside 1.5 for the Ladysmith trash convenience site. And with the growth that's occurring in Carmel Church, particularly with the new building getting there, I think it's important that I'd like to see us begin to put some money in for a fire station in Carmel Church. I think it's incumbent upon us to be forward thinking regarding the need, particularly since that's this is our largest commercial business area. We got 5 truck stops there, the housing development there, Belmont. So I just think it's incumbent upon us to begin to put something in Carmel Church to be proactive rather than reactive. So I'd like to see some of the part of the funds from the 1.5 that's going to that convenience site and be moved toward putting it together a line item for a station in Carmel Church, maybe $400,000, $500,000 of that 1.5.
Mr. Cohen?
All right, well, 2 things there. The 1.5 would be borrowed, so that was a 30-year borrow to do that convenience site. We would have potentially, with everything that's already proposed to be spent from the detention center fund, a balance, I would think a conservative balance, you know me, I don't budget the other way. A conservative balance should be about 241 in detention center funds June 30th, 20. So you might have another 200 if you wanted to move towards starting something. The chief and Mr. Shebel both would have to talk about what they would need to get going. You know, you can't spend all the detention funds in 1 month.
Right, understand.
They got to build up over the year.
Right.
But that shows you what our balance is now, in about 60,000 a month. 50. I think the numbers are hard to read from me. I think it's 50,000 a month. We're building more than that current. So I mean, that's a conservative number. We should be able to fund the things that we have in the CIP. And if you wanted to fund 200,000 more, we probably would be able to do that. But we just can't do it all this summer. Some of it's got to stretch over the year to have the money. So you have to prioritize the things that you wanted to do. But we could get started.
Yeah, you would at least, you're not gonna build a fire station
No,
for $200,000.
No, neither one. Not Sparta either.
But you would, well, I got 3 spots.
Engineer down to 1.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 3 valid spots. The reality is, putting some money in gives you the same, right, allows you to get started. Plus, there's a development that's approved, that's gonna provide profits. So there is some money that's gonna come in.
Mr. Cullen?
We at least, we're not making a choice of which one's better. We're saying, yeah, we choose to do both.
Bring it on that front. I mean, since there's I see in the budget there's 200 for Sparta, 200 for Sparta, and 200 for Sparta. So we're saying the Sparta one would be 800,000.
That's about what they're asking for, yes, sir.
So I mean, if we've got a Sparta one and then we've got a Carmel Church station one eventually, would it not be wise to just say, like, I mean, the interest rates are still low, to knock them out at one time? I mean, in a sense, you could at least borrow the money
And pay the debt service.
and pay the debt service over time. So in other words, if we're not ready for Carmel Church Station for another 3 years, at least we could fix both of them at the same time in one borrowing
You tell me, sir.
and pay down the debt service. Would that be a wise? I mean, it would.
No, are you saying borrow the money now, or borrow the money
Yeah.
in year 3?
Borrow the money.
Borrow the
now,
money now, and you can
take
keep
it
it
a
until
couple
we're
years
ready,
ago.
because we don't have the full-time staff yet for the Carmel Church Station.
Mr. Cully, how much of the unencumbered balance we had left was money that we didn't spend, like on the transfer site over in Ladysmith? Wasn't that 500,000 that we didn't spend?
Correct.
So the 900,000, if we just spent the 500, we'd have been at 4. So it's money we didn't spend.
Oh, yeah, it's money we didn't spend and revenues were up some, and, yeah.
Yeah, but we had $500,000 last year and $500,000 this year, and we didn't spend it. So when you look at the money that was left over, it's because we didn't start.
Yeah.
It should have been encumbered.
That's a more of a finance question, is
Isn't
whether
that
that
part of the
500,000
unencumbered
got encumbered.
We put it back in because we
Yeah.
didn't start the site, but it's gonna be $1.5 million. But we had it in the budget last year for $500,000, so when you say we have 940,000 left, if we'd have done the site work for $500,000, we'd have been 400,000 to the good, and we're just saying it's money we just didn't spend, and now we're talking about borrowing. So, we're gonna,
You, in particular, the Ladysmith site,
site, because that was in the budget
there
for
should be money,
$500,000.
there should be 500,000 there, but I guess Charlie's saying he made the decision of not putting that 500,000 back and borrow the whole thing.
Right, so
Right.
when you're
Correct.
saying that we have
Okay.
money left, it's because what was in the budget, that's a big chunk we just didn't spend.
Okay, now I see where you're going.
So,
Yeah.
all I'm saying is be careful with, well, we've never gone into the unencumbered balance.
No, I never said we've never, because I've been here when we were.
Well, in the
counting
last
pennies.
couple of years we haven't, but I
Right.
agree, but there's big things we just didn't do because we should have done $500,000 2 years ago and $500,000 last
We
year.
cut that, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, and
be
then,
mindful that, and, the detention center is only a 5-year contract. We're in year 2. So you won't have that money to pay back debt service.
After the 5th year.
After the 5th year, it could potentially be gone. So when you talk about borrowing the money, you're talking about going into revenue that we're not collecting, we won't be collecting then. So I'm a little concerned about borrowing the money.
The only reason why, the whole Carmel Church Station thing is, if eventually we get the 3, it would take pressure off Bowling Green and Ladysmith. Because if there's to be honest with you right now, if there was a call, and Ladysmith had a call down Carmel Church, and then we have another call, in Ladysmith, then we have to come from Bowling Green, or vice versa. If Bowling Green gets a call, and they're the ones, number 1 call, the reality behind it, Ladysmith is number 1 for all of 95. So Carmel Church would take pressure off Ladysmith. So the Carmel Church Station would actually benefit all parts of the county because they would be first in. That would take pressure off Bowling Green and Ladysmith as well.
when I used to drive to Richmond on a regular basis, I would see Ladysmith on 95 somewhere.
Mr. Cullen.
The 900,000 was just general fund, it didn't include the CIP. So it didn't count that 500,000. It was just general fund. So that was the difference between general fund expenditures and general fund revenues.
So I like Mr. Black's idea, that's the motion, I'm gonna second it.
The 500,000, the board already authorized us to do a study on the Ladysmith site for land evaluation. That was supposed to be presented at the last meeting in closed session, but I was not here to be able to do that. It'll be at the next meeting.
We spent some on it.
So that'll be spent, some of that, the rest of it was to go to doing the land purchase. That's what that money was set aside for this year, and whatever was left over would roll into construction for next year with the additional funds.
So that is all for land evaluation purchase, not construction.
Yeah, we knew we
It's
didn't
part
have
of the
enough
design,
construction.
but we don't know what the price of the land is.
We knew 500 went to the building. All right, we have a motion and a second.
I have a question since you're financial guy. Better to borrow now when interest rates are still pretty low and put money back for land
for-
to stations.
For something that's a building, that's a structure that you're going to use for the next 50 or 60 years, finance is not a horrible.
We got a good rate and should get something.
The interest rates are. Now they've been
according to the state now. And there is cost to lending.
Right. Depends on when, I was just trying to pay for it. 18 months ago.
So better to take just some out and put to this or borrow.
If you're just doing it, like small pieces, it's gonna take you a while.
I like the $200,000 idea to start site development, start site selection, that kind of stuff. It's a start the college part. It's my
I mean,
brain.
I guess you get going and you wanna go faster, you borrow it next year.
I'm just concerned about the interest rates, because the interest rates are,
Gas prices going up, get tighter.
I mean, I'm concerned now that, you know, like the interest rates are only gonna get worse. So if you're gonna do it, I mean, I don't understand why, we know it's a need. We know both of them are a need.
Not the presidential
Yeah, but
election.
we're doing this year's budget. I can't believe we're talking about borrowing money tonight for fire stations when we're just trying to finalize this year's budget.
Is there any reason we can't just put money, add money into the budget for site development and then at a different meeting, discuss borrowing, get some rates, talk to the financial directors and
That's fine.
the budget?
So you can change your motion to do that, and I'll change my second.
I didn't even make the motion.
Yeah, I know, I forced it, because I seconded it.
So we don't have a motion.
Oh, we don't have a
I thought
budget.
Mr. Plank made a motion.
He doesn't think he made a motion.
I didn't make a motion.
So you say it was a good idea, and I said I
Yes,
seconded
question, how we
it.
find
So
out.
what's
The
the,
second of my idea.
We don't need a motion. We just need
I
to.
don't think we even made a motion, just kind of let that.
So I like
Add
that.
to the CIP.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, direct him to do it,
I
CIP,
would
and we'll discuss
move
it.
that we add $200,000 into the budget for the Carmel Church future fire station, looking at bidding for location selection.
We discussed the CIP 2020-2024 next.
That's what we should do.
Okay, so we just moved that, we just moved that to the CIP.
So you don't want a motion now?
I'm comfortable with not.
Okay.
So
We
so
discussed
we
this.
back to 3 firefighters?
I would still looking for a list of specific items that y'all have that y'all want to discuss that are not CIP related. I'll start. $305,000 for the light reconstruction of the softball field.
Yes.
I'd like more information on that to see what we've done. No,
I have the same question over there.
I have a question related to that. Since somebody from the schools is here, Dr.
Yeah,
Morosi.
Dr. Yes.
let's start with Ms. Sheehan.
We had contacted Musco Lighting to come out and to evaluate our lighting system and to give us lighting to relight the existing field. The poles that we have now are 30 years old. Nobody will climb them anymore because they're not certified. Nobody will even come out and test them anymore because of the liability. So we've talked to several companies about doing that. There are woodpecker holes and splits in the lights. You can't hang new lights. Nobody will hang new lights on the existing poles for fear, if a light falls down, that they would be held responsible. Musco last year gave us a price of $290,000 as a budget number to relight that field. So we increased that knowing it was a year old and as things are moving forward. And then we also added money in, it's not included in that, but to do the field next door and then to do the soccer field. In our rank and priority, we're concerned about the condition of those lights and one coming down. So we thought that was number one priority, then the soccer field, which was less, and then the other softball field.
If we're not addressing those tonight, those are future
No,
budget.
he's just letting you know what's in the CIP.
Can I ask a question specifically about the field? The field is used only by Parks and Rec.
No, it's
The middle school uses that for all of their games. The middle school boys and girls use our fields for their games.
They're playing on it today.
everyone today.
They're on it today.
And the high school's using their fields.
The high school
They're
uses
using the one right down the road.
the one, well, that's the boys, and the boys team.
Correct.
The girls team uses the one between the building and the football
One in
field,
the bottom.
which is not a quality field. Is it possible, and that's why I want to
We've
know about it.
had a meeting on that, and we'll be bringing you a plan to alleviate what we saw was concerns. So Ted Lambert met with the athletic director and Donnell, so we're bringing you a plan on the May meeting to address access to that field and fix that. the coach said nothing wrong with the field, they walk the field, it's access to the field, the hill, the mud hole of a ditch,
Right.
and getting around evidently the dugouts. So we're gonna be bringing you a drawing and plans for that on the 14th, not finalized with that yet, but we've had that meeting. Dr. Rowe, if you wanna add anything to that?
The coach said there was nothing wrong with the field?
He did. I actually met with Paul because I called and gave with Paul after the last Board of Supervisor meeting, because I was not aware of anything going on with the field. And what we did see and what he thought needed improvement was going through the field. There is no way to access the field other than walking down the grass and the bumps and the rocks and what have you. So we are actually looking at some different options, maybe a wooden walkway down or some other options to access the field. But the field itself is actually in good condition based on at least the evaluation and the report I got from Mr. Heisman. So I did not speak to the coach directly, but I did meet with Paul last week with Mr. Holman. And what was discovered, what was brought to my attention is access to the field, more so than the field itself. So we are actually working on it, having follow-up meetings planned in the near future.
Okay, I have an email from a constituent who I guess has a daughter who plays softball, and her concerns were they have to fundraise to help fix the field and to make the field safe. So
Well, could you
maybe
do
there's
me
a
favor?
disconnect somewhere?
Could you have her contact me too, so I can at least understand, because you know, I want to be a part of the solution.
Mr.
but-
Monroe, I know it's been reported to at least one school board member,
Okay,
but I did it.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
that-
let us circle back, let us come together and have a common understanding. Because I know some of our CTE students were working on beautifying the field, working on some dugouts and adding, some additions and benches and whatnot. So I don't know if beautification is also part of the fixing up as well. So
All right.
it's a lack of understanding, so let me
Well,
get some.
well, things are kind of all relative. This is the last thing I'm gonna say is I'm still somewhat athletic, and I did walk the field last week. It was a game canceled in Spotsylvania because they were closed. The outfield, I almost twisted my ankle several times. So there's some issues with the field itself, and maybe you want to talk to the coach directly. Okay, but we have a meeting where the schools can use the Parks and Rec field when that one's back. Right.
They do currently, they currently use our field, they were
Well,
playing
I-
on today.
The softball team out here is pretty good, so. Lose a game, rock ball.
So that was, and that's the estimate we've gotten from Musco. We just added a little bit of money to it, knowing that we got that over a year ago.
Couple questions. Was the new lighting plan gonna use less than 9 poles? Because I'm seeing other fields lit with 4 and 5 poles.
I believe they were replacing 5, and they were doing LED, and they had sight distance and everything, because we actually looked at the length of our fields and what it takes to throw the light that distance. So we were looking at going with an LED style light, and would be more efficient, and have a longer life.
But not 9 poles.
I believe it was 9, but it's been over a year now, so I'd have to go back and actually look. And I don't think it was in my CIP necessarily how many poles were.
Have we done any investigation down below? I think, are we more worried about below grade or?
A little bit of
what's
both.
that?
We contacted 3 different companies, and they said that they can't do any inspection unless we can give them an engineering report stating what it's supposed to be. But Rappahannock Electric gave us a heads up that we need to be looking at what's under the ground as well. And they thought that the people that they used might be able to help us. We contacted both of them, and both of them said that they couldn't. And we found a third one on our own that said that they couldn't do anything unless we had a structural analysis on the existing pole.
Let me say this, when the light poles got changed at the Caroline site for the men's high school baseball, they told us those poles were unmaintainable anymore and they were no longer of any value. They took them down and sold them to another company that put them up on another set of fields. They were in such good shape. And it's the same story we got that you're telling us tonight, that nobody would certify them, nobody would look at them, nobody would test them. When they took them down, they sold them.
Yeah, Mr. Forehand and I actually walked around the field a month or so ago, and then there's a couple places you can put your fist halfway through the pole, where woodpeckers have pecked them, and there's other places where they're cracked pretty significant on a couple of the poles. So we would go back with either a steel or concrete pole.
Because we had the inline winds back there in the park where we just got done working and all those trees were taken down and those poles were still
They
standing.
still stood, that's what we said, and every time we get a high wind, we're like, well, the lights are still standing.
I'm just telling you that I heard the same thing. We replaced those poles and then we heard weeks later that they sold them to another field that put them up and used them.
We can always, get an engineering firm to come out and actually do an engineering study and then provide a full report, and then we would have the.
Don't we have an engineering firm under contract that
We
can
do.
do that?
Yeah, I mean, we can do a task order with them, and
I mean, how expensive is that gonna be?
I can find out and bring it back to the next meeting.
Find out.
I mean,
It's one of those things, the 305 is gonna be funded from the detention center fund in the CIP. If you were to approve the CIP, we're not gonna do the project without board authorization because it's too much money. It's above my ability to sign a purchase order. We have to bid it out and then bring it to you. So I would think, you can certainly take it out if you want, but you can leave it there. We can do an investigation and bring it back to you
That's
what we
fine.
found out.
That's fine.
And it's detention center funds, so it'll be unspent one way. We're not borrowing the money for it.
Mr. Sheba, just out of curiosity, how old are these?
30 years.
30, and the second thing is, have you gotten any cost estimate on like when using LED versus what we have now, the electric savings you would have?
It was significant. The difference in price, I think it was 6 years to pay it back, depending on what they considered a normal
Based on
season.
our
So
use?
depending on how often it gets used, we didn't include the middle school, so if they're using it later in the evening, most of the time they're during the daylight hours. So just the minimal leak that we use, but if it ever get used more, of course, it changes. So because of how it's used, it's really hard to calculate the usage. If you say, we're going to do it so many days, we can get that calculation, but without knowing exactly how much it's going to be used. And of course, we've got good lighting, then Mr. Howard will be able to use it more.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right. Another item I had was possibly the idea to go 3 to 2 litter technicians versus 3. Sheila's probably Sorry.
Or generally,
That's really up to how much the board wants us to accomplish. It's all the meetings,
So,
hours.
we could probably go into 5.
Well,
I mean, it's $25,000 for 3 of them, working them 40 weeks. So figuring during the winter months, you're not gonna be able to do with so much.
I'm thinking I got 25 for the coordinator and 50 for the 3.
All right, yes, you're correct. I was backwards, I'm sorry, it is 50. The coordinator was 25.
So $16,000, $17,000.
This is something that's needed across the county. $16,000 or $17,000 is what we're talking about. Yes, sir.
All I would add to that is, if you've got to go out with a truck, and then you got to put signs out, and you got to do all that
Right.
stuff, you might as well put as many men at it in that you
Yes.
carry in one pickup truck.
Right.
Because you'll get more done.
Right, and not only that, like.
I mean, that, to me,
Right.
when you end up on a road, you gotta establish the signage for VDOT, and then start picking up the trash bag and getting it all loaded. So if you drop down to, a couple of guys doing it, because coordinator may not be, they're gonna be coordinating. They may be coordinating work release, they may be doing all kinds of things. I don't know that savings is gonna, that might impact more. But good, because you're spending so much time of your day up and down signs and working those 2 guys doing that stuff, where you could spread it out and at least have more being done in a shorter time period.
Just this weekend when we did our trash pickup on Ladysmith Road, we had 5 more volunteers than we usually had. Usually takes us 3 hours to do the 4 miles we cover. By having those extra volunteers, we did an hour and 45 minutes, as opposed to 3 hours. And that was a lot easier, made my life easier, made everyone else's life easier, the fact that rather than be out there the extra hour and 15, it was nice to be done, you know, a lot earlier with the road cleaning.
And the roadway looks great. You know, I'm looking, I am looking at pennies right now, because I don't like the 2.4 million out of the fund balance, so forgive me. That is a concern.
But, I mean, again, the budget processes balance it out of fund balance, how much did you get back? And Mr. Gully said he's very conservative, but our revenues have, for the past few years, been very good. And we do have some really good things coming that haven't started paying yet.
Won't start.
This is all fiberglass.
Oh, it's all plastic.
It's all plastic.
All right. Yeah. Did you guys do this spreadsheet?
When I sent that, I thought I did, then I thought, I think I can stand up.
Not much cheaper. Actually, you may or may not know, the restroom, 90,000 for the restrooms at the high school. Do you have information on that?
Yeah, we did have upgrade for the park, but this is specifically high school?
Yes.
High school football field restaurant.
Mr. Monroe, are you able to answer a question?
I am not this time.
For the renovation of the field house.
Okay, there's a new building and an old building. The new building has ladies' rooms in it. The old building has concessions, the men's room. Which building are we talking about? Or is there another building? It was just a question, 'cause I was there last week for the Special Olympics event.
I'll email you tomorrow, specific time.
What's that?
I'll email you tomorrow the specific time.
Okay. All right, let's get through this. Any other items that non-school related we want to discuss?
Have the
Mr. Black, you had a Mr. Black has a question.
budget question.
Okay, go ahead.
Just real quickly on page 1, I just have about 4 or 5 questions, Mr. Cully. I saw there on the general fund, it says delinquent personal property tax. And you have this increase, looks like it's, what is the reason for the 6%, and 5.2%?
Delinquent, real estate or personal property?
Real estate, I'm sorry.
It says real property.
Yeah, real property, first year, second year.
How much we made through that.
First year, second year,
All of them.
and it's an average most of the time, plus a little bit above, so it's just an average of what we've been doing. It's a formula, an Excel formula average.
Okay, and that's fine, but I just was wondering down at the, later on down there where it says personal property, we've had that company where it says the personal property, and there's nothing in there, we have that third party that comes in. So why is it at 0% for that? A little bit farther down, page 1.
Third section.
Yeah,
Third section.
Yeah, because we've had some updates from
Personal property, delinquent
treasurer.
First year,
Yeah.
Going down.
It says 0%.
it's still just an average, so it's just a formula.
So you're saying that there's gonna be no change?
But
Well, it might be, but the
But
treasurer
300
can answer how she feels that's been going, but it's a, you see, it's a formula that's averaging across previous actual revenues.
and 360 is less than 1%, so that's why it's 0%.
Okay. That's fine. All right, just page 6 real quick.
I don't have that, I got it on.
Ambulance, or charges for ambulance service.
Recoveries they're up.
So, because it says here, you, department requests 705,000, and then a county recommends, county administrator recommends 949,000.
That was also based on sort of where they were. Cameron, what's the line, not line number?
16,180.
Yeah, dash 00, yeah.
16,180.
Can you see this 18?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm throwing it back.
So go down just a little
Yeah,
bit.
go down a couple more.
Right there.
And then just up. I took the actual revenue that we currently have in at 7 months, divided it times 12. So it's a formula.
Doesn't multiplication take precedent? Without parentheses?
Divide, multiply, they're saying.
Not in Excel, I checked it a couple, I used to always put parentheses and all that stuff around it, but it didn't
Yeah.
change it, so I started changing it down.
Order of operations.
All right.
Yeah, if I multiply that by-
Multiplication, division, addition, subtraction.
You see, multiplication, you would multiply 7 times 12 and then divide.
So what's the answer is?
That it's the actual revenue that I had at the time, that's in on it, that was posted, was 7 months worth. I divided it to get a monthly amount that we were
Okay,
at.
so what you're saying is
And
what
then
the-
I times it times 12 months.
So what you're saying is the actual will be probably close to that, or somewhat
It
close?
should be.
Yeah, based on.
It's been increasing significantly.
All right.
And we've got, you know, a bunch coming in from the federal government now.
Okay.
That's not even in that yet.
Page.
You run a call with 2 a day.
Page 8. Page 8 is the, where it says tax on deeds,
They have.
220010.
Hey, what's 2?
Tax on deeds. It's under general fund, tax on deeds.
What's the number?
Far left column.
Far left number.
022010. Tax on deeds, there you are.
Yeah. Same thing.
I'm guessing.
Put parentheses around there, please.
Do what?
Change your whole spreadsheet.
Can you just put parentheses around that? It's 235. Okay, and then around that guy in front.
Am I there or do I gotta?
One more over. One more over. There you go. Return. Okay.
I checked that because I used to always do it that way, and then I saw somebody else had a formula that way without it, and I said, oh darn, I'm putting all these parentheses I don't need. Because yeah, that's how you have to do it, to actually
That's real math.
manually do it in real math, but Excel doesn't do it that way. But trust me, for years I did it that way, just type
I
parentheses
just
around
got done
everything.
teaching the 6th grader order of operation, 5th grader order of operation, so.
Yeah, but that's,
That would violate all the.
that was a piece of paper.
It
It would be wrong.
It would be wrong
Yeah.
if you did that as math, it would be wrong, but like I said, for years I put it all in Excel that way because I did math, but then I.
Well, I'm still putting parentheses in Excel, so.
You don't need to, I learned that this year.
Okay.
I think if you go back in my old spreadsheet, you'll see all this print.
Mr. Colley, so what you're saying is that we're on pace to get the 235 then?
If you take what we had gotten and divided it by 7 months, which was the month, then
Because that's
yes.
significantly higher than all the other numbers.
Correct, but recovery's way, y'all are billing it way more.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not sure I'm following that, but year-to-date recovery in fiscal year 18 was 850. And we had budgeted at 700,000. The budget needs to go up to close that gap.
and year to,
thing
year to,
because
No,
what we got.
Yeah, that was the previous one.
Oh, 18, and this year,
I didn't look at this one.
I know, but we've got all those charges that have been sitting out there for the whole year, the
You're talking
feds
about
haven't
deeds
paid.
now.
Yeah, I'm talking about deeds. I'm talking about deeds.
Yeah, they're still on the other.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was on ambulance recovery.
No, I was,
Oh,
but
but they moved on. Oh, yeah. Well, it's because the math threw me back. But it's the same formula of where the actual is, columns hit.
all right, I've only got a few more
I
that are
can open up that
not
column
schools
and show
related.
you the actual revenue and you can see, but that's what that math goes back to, is that column.
Okay, on page 29, the electoral board and officials,
Okay.
You gave them a break.
totals. Oh, is that because we gave them a raise?
Give them a break.
Yes.
Okay,
That
all right,
comes
well
back
then,
from
forget
this,
it. Yeah, I didn't know what the reason was, so thank you. And then page 39, overtime for, Public Works.
All right, 39, now you're in the expenses.
Yes.
3 people.
Yeah.
You're adding a position to that.
It's only up by 5,000%.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious as to why the increase was 5,000%.
4,950. Yeah.
It's close to Public Works.
But he only budgeted 250.
Public Works Administration or Public, what's the number?
Public Works Administration.
Okay.
It says second one down. It says Public Works
He needs
Administration.
the number, he needs the number.
Oh, he's got it, he's got it.
Yeah.
I found it.
He's got it.
Right, that,
Yeah,
that
see?
one right in
Yeah,
there.
because you added that, that's where this was a,
That's the
I know what this is,
employees.
sorry, this is a little bit confusing. I needed that 25,000 in for that employee that employee, and I'd already finished, this budget's linked to another Excel spreadsheet that finance uses, and it's linked to a Word document, which is linked to a PowerPoint. And if I add a line right here and put that in as part-time, it screwed all the links up in the documents, and it was late in the day when that got added in, and so I just stuck it in. It's just that person. It's not
Okay.
overtime, sorry.
All right. Well, that's.
I can get rid of overtime right here and put part-time.
Yep.
But it was just to make sure I had the 25 in the totals for that department. But at the end of the day, it's going to go in a code section that there'll be a number here, 1202 for part-time.
All right. Mr. Chairman, that was all my non-schools. Thank you.
That was just to save myself from having to relink a boatload of lines and two spreadsheets.
Is that it, Mr. Swire?
Yeah, I said that's all my non-schools.
Okay.
Because you had asked non-schools.
Yep. All right, any other discussions for non-school budget?
Well, I just wanted to ask, for keeping vehicles, you're gonna give those to the deputies that have not totaled the damage, or you can give the ones who have had unexplained accidents, the older vehicles, right?
Take
So we
all
don't
that.
have to
That's it,
Right, we
replace.
take all that to the firefighter. Once a new deputy comes here to do the call.
Right.
Somebody wrecks a car. Whoever takes care of the vehicle.
And we won't have to do 14 again next year.
You know, it's mileage based, I'm looking for that spreadsheet. It's based on the county policy. Mileage, half the cost of the vehicle, 4 years old. Mr. Kelly has those numbers.
That was a big jump this year, I was just.
I've normally been doing 9, and I tried to go 9, and then when I did,
You gotta put transmissions, right?
yeah, the mileage was so high on some of the ones I wasn't able to do. I knew if they ran them another year, the repair cost on those, potentially 5 cars I left out, or a truck and 4 cars, could be significant. I didn't want to do it. I mean, I really wanted to do 9.
I put the trucks on brand new.
Some of them we still replace one. I can't, I turned spreadsheets down, but I know.
You got, no, but you got 2 new pickups, right?
Yeah, but
Those aren't at the mileage limit, but they're brand
Their
new.
new pickups are in patrol.
Right.
They're animal control truck.
Animal control, okay.
And they have a ton of miles. Those pickups are for the fire investigators.
Right.
Because even the state police have gone away from the SUVs and cars because of the debris from the fire. The guys breathing it in, it's harmful, you know.
Okay.
They're all fire investigators, and not just deputies, they do fire investigations.
Yeah, I saw one at the gas station.
Yeah, station's got it.
Says fire, yeah.
So we're trying to sort of rotate vehicles out like every 4 years, every 3 years, how long do they last?
Some vehicles last much longer than 4 years.
Okay.
But it's just a matter of the mileage in combination with whatever the county policy says. The half of the cost of the vehicle repairs for 4 years and $120,000.
How much we get tire per year?
$125,000. mean, most of them
Oh,
say
yeah.
way over 120.
I was gonna say, I don't even start worrying if you 200,000.
Yeah, but you could, they could run, these, one of these 186, 168, 100. Then you start into the stuff that's run daily, and the repair costs are. When they get that turned in, they don't get scrapped. They go to the county, go to fire rescue, go to schools, go to Mechanics County admin.
Okay, so we're still.
You're still using something, they just can't be. If they're run like that for police cars, the repair costs just need to.
We don't get that because people
All right, I
drive.
was just wondering why we get the increase.
Okay. And I had a question,
Yes, sir.
Major, you had 100,000 in overtime last year, and you had 120 you used the year before. And I know we always have this discussion. You're using a lot of overtime because you're short of deputies. You have open positions. Is it 3 or 4?
We're down two, right?
Down 2. So when those two come, will the overtime go down?
Should, absolutely, yeah.
And that's a floating number, really. But I was curious about
I
that.
think we got him on tape last work session last year.
I think we're down 20,000.
Maybe,
no.
do we have a policy on how far a vehicle can be driven home?
We do, yes, sir.
What is that?
I want to say it's 50 miles from the office.
50?
From the office, yes, sir.
That's a long way.
Check, I mean, we're, what, 15 miles from the county line in Hanover, maybe 60.
Yeah. I can drive in Chesterfield 50 miles.
I don't know that you can quite be close.
Yeah.
I'm not, I think it's 50 now. We have to check every person when they have to do a request for a memo, and we have to check the mileage to make sure it meets the policy.
Any other items to discuss before we move on to the school items? Okay.
I just have one.
You want to start us off? Mr. Thomas?
How are you today? You, at our public hearing, you said that the insurance was rebid April 1st. Have you received any information back from the bid process?
Yes, sir. Cigna, Aetna, and United Healthcare declined to provide medical proposals due to not being competitive. The local choice at this time and Anthem are the two that responded. Anthem is not competitive with the local choice rates. So at this time, we're showing the local choice is the cheapest for the school district.
And that's what you have now,
Yes.
local choice.
Yes, sir.
So the increase to the student for next year will be 700,000 and change.
Yes, sir, for the school system.
Okay. And it was $1 million last year.
Yes, sir. On average, it's 9.65%.
We're trying to catch you on this.
Okay,
What
sorry.
happened over there? Not to catch you, that's not a bad way. Trying to
Trying to
hear
catch
it.
you.
You want me to repeat my question?
If you-
Okay, my question was, you mentioned at our public hearing that you were rebidding the insurance April 1st, and what were the results of that rebid?
Yes, sir. So Cigna, Aetna, and United Healthcare declined to provide medical proposals due to not being competitive. Anthem and the local choice. Anthem responded, of course, local choice is our current and does not have to bid. Anthem rates were higher. The local choice is our current plan and is the most competitive at this time.
And the increase for this year is 700,000 and change.
764,538 for the employer.
764, 5. I think that was my question. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
And Mr. Cullen, in your discussions with Ms. Stevens about the school budget and the county administrator's proposed budget, you have a difference of about $600,000.
791,000 all total,
Unfunded.
unfunded, what they're requesting. What's funded in my budget is the match requirement they need to do the second year of their compensation study, which happens to then give them the match for the state money that was offered for SOU positions, which is, how much of that state money is?
The net-
500 and something
Yeah, the
thousand.
net state was 523 in the operationals.
Okay. So, from purely a number standpoint, we would be fully funding your budget if the insurance hadn't gone up.
No. And so we got 218,000 one-time money for insurance. But then the other thing that's in the request, other than insurance, is 73,000 and change for a mandated testing coordinator or that. I didn't fund that. I figured they'd have
But
to
I
figure out how to do that.
No, my question was from purely a number standpoint.
Based on our adjustments we made because of the health insurance
Right.
increase
Right.
that we made on our own, paring our budget down, yes, it's only health insurance, that one position, and the compensation. And with the funding proposed that Mr. Cully has in his budget, we're short 791,000.
But we're committed to the second phase of the salary study. So I think that's right. You all said that? Okay. All right, thank you, man.
Mr. Black?
I just got a couple of questions. One of them, I don't know if you can answer or not. I'm sure you do know the number of testing, and it's not you, it's the state, but the number of testing, at least at the high school level, is going down. I mean, they're kind of phasing out requirements for SOLs this year's current freshmen. No matter if you're advanced or standard, only have to pass 5 SOLs, whereas the advanced kids right now have to pass 9. So the testing is going down that students are required to take, but they're mandating a testing coordinator now.
They are, with the counselors coming out, with the new ruling on the counselors being 80% hip to hip with
So
these
it's
students.
coinciding with that?
It's
then?
coinciding with
With
that,
that, okay.
plus we're not on a block scheduling at the high school, we're on a 4x4 schedule, which means we're testing year round.
And you guys, right, that's because of your schedule, it's costing, okay. And the second thing, and I ask this every year, and I know it's not part of the budget process, but there is a savings every year when you have a retire. How many prospective retirees do you guys have in the school system?
Right now, we have 5,
So you have 5
and I have adjusted my baseline by 74,000 in the request from the beginning on baseline changes.
So you have already had that in the budget?
All this stuff, these are rates that I have done with my budget. They're not public to the employees yet, so, no.
Once they are.
Once they are, they'll certainly be on our website, so yes, once they're public.
As far
Yeah.
as what it'll cost?
Because if we're not funded, then of course the rates are gonna have to change.
Right. Okay. Now, somebody mentioned in the public hearing, excuse me, that you would lose 12 positions. Was that an accident?
Yes, if we are not funded, I will have to cut 12 positions.
If you're not funded, then
For the health insurance.
700,000, you have to cut 12 positions.
Right.
That's based on the starting teacher salary.
Okay.
So I guess my going back, I know, so let me get this straight. So right now, what we're funding with the 5%, you will get the state money, you don't have to cut anything, is that correct?
Yes, because it would make no sense for us not to fund the compensation.
Right,
because we would be
okay.
going backwards.
So we're not, right now, the way we are, they're not going backwards on that front, at least.
But that's
correct?
their decision. We're putting the money up, but it's their decision.
And their overall budget's up, our 562, plus our 218, plus the
Right.
state 523.
So-
So they're not going backwards,
I
it's just their
understand that.
costs have gone through the roof on insurance.
Right. Understand.
On
So-
average, we're 9.65%, which the state is running a trend of 7.9. And I know I looked at the county trend and it's in the 7s too, it looks like over the past several years, couple years.
Can we join other localities to do the big pool?
We are in the local choice, we are in the pool with the state, so our admin fees are lower based on being in that pool. It's about 140,000 in that pool. But we are not rated because we're 500 on the plan We're not rated based on the pool, we're rated on our claims.
And we asked last year, I remember, for the same people to still in the system.
We had 2 drop off the plan, but of course, when you do medical trends, they're going out forward
So
on the
two
trend.
pick up. Okay.
Yep.
What's the total employee count that are taking insurance?
We have 499 in February.
499 that are taking insurance. So that's 700, again, worst case scenario, that's 700. Where's the number?
That is an
799.
exact figure for the 499 that were on the plan.
If
Because
they were to stay.
we pay the same amount for either plan that they choose. So, as long as they stay on the plan, now of course you always have ones that may go up the family, ones that may stay, drop. You'll always have that move, but that is an exact figure for the ones on the plan.
That doesn't affect your cost.
That is our cost that I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm on the school
It
plan
would.
as a single person. I get married, I have 4 kids, I switch to
It
family.
would affect our cost.
Your cost is still the same.
No, our,
Your cost goes
because
up.
it goes up based on the tier that they're on. It's the same as the county. Yep,
People take family, it's cost.
yep, it costs more.
Ms. Stevens?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman. Did you just say earlier you couldn't divulge what the cost increase per teacher would be on the insurance?
Yeah, because I can't set the rate for I can tell, based on getting this funding, but if we don't get 791, it will be a more increase on them.
Well, yes, I mean, but it's kind of public money, so I mean, I would think that based on if you don't get the 7 plus if you do.
If we don't get the 791, then these rates mean nothing. Because I have to go back and, either cut 12 positions or put more on the employee. But with changing the plans, the employees will see a difference. I did speak and present it earlier, that if employees drop their plan from 250 to a 500, and from expanded to 250, they'll see an increase of $72,066.
Spread over 500.
If the employees choose not to drop their plan, they will see an increase of $728,464. So the concept is you're dropping your plan. The employer pays the same for both plans.
And
So,
then
we're giving all the teachers a 5% raise.
No, sir.
This
No,
is the
sir.
second part of the 5% raise.
No, sir. Our average increase is only 3.3% as an average.
Our employees are getting 5.
Your employees are suggested at 5%.
What did you get last year?
America.
Last year was a little bit lower than that. On average, I want to say 2.6 or something off.
Okay, so it's 5% total to get the governor's money.
Over the
Over
2-year
2 years.
period. Yes,
So over the 2 years, you got a 5% raise.
yes.
But over the 2 years, your insurance costs to the employee have gone up 10%.
Last year was 13.1%.
And this year's up.
Well, this
Or
year's
not.
25.9, but with an adjustment of the plan, it will not be that.
But don't forget, maybe
She keeps saying 9%, it's 25.
spend the money that's in that savings account, that you can.
On
I mean,
facilities projects
you
that
keep
need to
saying
be done.
9%, but the actual rate increase is 25.9%.
I just said that,
I know, but you
25.9.
keep saying 9% prior to that.
I have not said 9% increase at all tonight, Mr. Sealy. It's 25.9% increase, and it was 13.1% increase last year.
This year it went up more than it did last year.
Yes, sir.
I think what you said was it was an average around the state of 9% increase.
Right.
It's an average for us of 9.65% over the past 4 years with the local choice.
So the first couple of years, there was no fairly now.
Yes, 1 year was a decrease and 1 year was a very small increase. Yep.
So, let me ask this. If we were to fund the 791, teachers really wouldn't get a raise.
Teachers would see a raise with the 791. They would have to adjust their plan, which, when you're.
But if they
when-
didn't adjust their plan, it's still conceivable that we could do all of this and somebody, because of insurance costs, would actually see less than their take-home pay.
It is very possible if they choose not to adjust their plan, yes, sir, because we are eliminating a plan,
Right, okay.
okay? So the robust plan is going away. So the next plan down is gonna be the robust plan for us. If they chose to remain there, then yes, possibly. But you're talking co-pays going up $5 from the 250 to the 500 plan. It's not like a $25 co-pay difference or anything, so it's a $5 difference co-pay. The major difference between the plan is the 500 is a co-insurance on the hospitalization versus a co-pay. If you go in hospital.
So it's like an 80-20.
It's 80.
But co-pay, well,
But just like now, our employees choose, some choose to be on the robust plan, the majority of our employees choose to be on the middle plan. And then we have the high deductible option also. So it's a choice of plan.
all right. Last thing is that last year, I think we were told that our work session, right in here, you had a young workforce because we couldn't pay enough to have people stay for a long time. But young people are theoretically more healthy, and it doesn't quite correlate young, healthy workforce insurance costs going up and up and up, so.
Unfortunately, we had 45 high claims this year across the gamut. Sepsis, cancers, brain tumors, and unfortunately, that's what we're running into.
That's 10% of your workforce.
It's 10% that's on the insurance, 45 claims. Yeah, $4.99, a little less. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, I'll do my next.
Mr. Black?
No, I mean, I think I was, I just had a, Ms. Stevens? I just have one last question. On your, when you guys calculate administrative costs, because like last year that was a big thing, and then it had gone up significantly, the administrative costs, and it was in the newspaper that your administrative costs had gone up so much, and you had said, your answer was, well, there's different things as insurance. You had kind of verified that and kind of told us last year it's administrator isn't necessarily a superintendent, assistant superintendent, principals. If someone is a principal or assistant principal, or a non-teacher that is a testing coordinator, something like that, that is in a supervision position, like a testing coordinator would be, guidance, I mean, well, maybe not the guidance counselors, but are they in the administrative category?
Those employees you just named are in the instructional category.
An assistant principal is an instruction?
Yes, sir.
Is a superintendent administrator?
Yes, sir.
Can you get for us an assistant, like an assistant principal and a principal are not in administration?
No, they're in the code office of principal. I provided those last year. I can provide those again.
Yeah, if you would, yeah, thank you.
They're on the state annual school report. Coding,
Okay.
finance, procurement, human resources, attendance and health, psychological, board services, superintendent office. I think that's all of them are in the administrative category.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I went to find some one time on this.
Yeah, but you can't because it's going to be reoccurring. They got the 218 now. The problem is it's reoccurring. Once you build that in, you got to build it in every year. One time
We
on
gave
top.
300 last year. Now we don't have 300 left to give them this year.
But is there a way,
217.
is there a way to supplement the 218 with one time?
It won't, you don't want to do that because then next year you're gonna, that's not going to be there.
Again, I don't want it for operations, I'm looking for a specific, I mean, kind of what we're doing with 218. I don't know if there's any,
Mr.
of soften
Chair.
the impact.
just soften it.
Mr. Chair. I will point out that just like we have to make decisions, the school boards are elected officials, and they have to make decisions. They decided to come off of being self-insured. When that happened at a work session, I said, this money. Oh, okay. Remember when the school board decided to come off of being self-insured and go to a company, whatever company they chose? They had this chunk of money from being self-assured. We said, or at least I said, shouldn't this is the teacher's money, it should be saved, it was in an insurance fund. They took that money to cover capital improvements, or whatever they wanted. We held out $700,000 or $800,000, something.
We put $1 million in construction contingency. And then they asked over different times to have various things appropriate. But out of the Anthem money, $518,000 is all that's been left to go back in insurance, and they had about $1.8 million, if you don't count the $85,000 dental that was put in as a reimbursement instead of revenue. So that purely Anthem health insurance money, $1.8 million change. So $1.3 million of it got spent on capital projects approved by the board after the school board requested it.
But and then we held that $500,000 or whatever, and we divided it into 2 years to help soften the blow. We're just out of that because that money, in my opinion, should have been kept in a separate account for the teacher's health insurance and not for capital improvements. They have capital improvements, but they needed it, we approved, they requested it, we approved it. We can't soften the blow every year.
Any other discussion? Mr. Underwood, you've been quiet.
No.
Not to call you out.
The reality of it is, the rubber meets the road someplace. And right now it's unfortunate, but it's the increase in insurance that's really causing the issue, not that anybody has done anything inappropriate or in a way hasn't misused any funds. It's the reality that costs are going up and there's only so much revenue in the pie. So we're gonna be here again next year, so we might as well get ready every year, because it's gonna continue to go up. So we've tried to soften the blow. We've tried to be proactive. But right now it's just cost. That's the reality. It's just cost. Not that we want to be here.
Anybody else on item number 5, or number 6? All right, hearing none. Item number 6, discussion of county's administrator's proposed capital improvements program for 2020 to 2024. Beforehand, Mr. Black.
I'm sorry, we had started with Chief Wallace on the 3 firefighters. We did that further than the county got off. We never finished that discussion. That was like the first thing that we brought up, and then I know Mr. Seeley brought it up, and then I don't know where Chief Wallace went or not, but
We didn't seeing, I mean, personally, seeing and hearing that we're going to the detention center once a day, that's basically funding those 3 positions.
I think we'll save it.
I mean,
It's done. I mean, we can go on, you can go on past it.
I had the same,
We're gonna
I had a
just say we're
similar
confirming that.
concern as Mr. Seeley that
We're confirming the three firefighters.
okay.
it makes it, to me, it makes it more palatable that it's not just coming out of the kitty,
All I
that
gotta
basically
say is
it's a
remember,
wash.
there's only 4 years of that left right now. When that goes away, we're gonna have holes. Just 4 years that we're gonna have.
Mr. Black, did that address your question?
No, yeah, that does, I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure because we left that open, I was just kind of hanging on.
I think it got resolved through the discussion, at least it did with me
Okay,
personally.
all right, thank you.
Do we want to make a motion on the budget now, or we want to do budget and the CIP together?
Motion to adopt the budget.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the 2019-2020 budget as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I do. I mean, very frustrated that we are where we are with the schools. Because I do feel like, as Ms. Long said earlier, that they went away from that self-insurance to a new insurance plan, and it's on us to fund them. That's frustrating on our end, because I think you can go back to some video. I know Mr. Seeley, Mr. Thomas had talked about, we're sure this is a good idea when we head. And now it's on us, and it's unfortunate, because I myself as a teacher, you get a pay raise and then you get nothing. That's the frustrating part as a teacher.
Happened to me last year.
And I tend to agree with Mr. Forehand to a certain extent. If we could do anything in our power to soften the blow a little bit, I mean, we can't soften the blow. We cannot soften the blow at $763,000. It just can't. I mean, and we've got the 218. But I mean, it's already in there. But anything that we could do to soften it further for them would benefit them. But we cannot soften it to the tone of $700,000. So I would be in favor of helping soften that a little bit.
Black, can I ask a question? How, if we give them more money, we can't say that it's going to go here, there, or whatever. Remember, that is totally their decision.
Well, we could have
So
someone on
we
camera, and we
If
could
that
have someone.
case, we could say, I want a new English teacher, and give them that position.
And I know you can't guarantee that, but I think that would be very disingenuous of the schools if we gave them a couple hundred extra thousand and they did something completely different. That would be something that we would have to communicate to the constituents with, that wasn't used appropriately. So I guess my question is if that were to occur, and I mean, if that were to occur, would it be used towards the insurance?
I can tell you that our insurance bill is going to be there. It's not going away, so we must pay that bill. So yes, the funding is going to go towards insurance.
And the money that
We
you're
have
currently, the money that you're currently getting, because the money that you're currently getting right now will go towards the 5% before any other money would
We
go.
had no discussions to remove phase 2 of 3. You know, we're waiting to try to implement over a 3-year period, something in which you guys implemented September 2017. So we're 3 years behind in implementing it, so absolutely, that is our goal, to ensure that we get phase 2 implemented.
Yeah, but that's not quite fair though, because we didn't give county employees a raise for several years.
Right.
And there were mandated raises to schools from the government.
This isn't a comparison, because when
Yeah.
you retire from the school system, if I was in Caroline, I retired, and I'm a teacher, I would get my insurance covered at cost until I picked up Medicare. Our county employees do not get the same.
Not 100%, we don't.
But I mean,
But yes, it would be phased over is what we've been doing, phase 3. We are anticipating on trying to do phase 2. We have to do it or we lose $770,000 in state revenues.
okay.
Makes no sense to go back
We
this
do
way.
have a motion on the floor.
Right.
We need-
I was just, that was discussion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. For discussion, I'm gonna agree with Mr. Black and say maybe we can discuss a little more before we adopt it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'm going to go ahead and call for a vote to adopt the budget as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Mr. Black?
Nay.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye.
Mr. Seeley?
Aye.
I vote nay. Ms. Long?
And I vote nay.
So it's 3-3.
So the motion fails.
Motion fails.
So let's put it back out for discussion again.
Okay.
Hear that? Insurance is one thing, but I'm a little more concerned about, if you want to give the schools more money, would be with teachers. And where we're gonna get the additional money from, if we gave them enough money for 2 teachers.
You gotta cut the
We've never been
firefighters
able
for
to
the
tell
money.
them where to put their money before, so why suddenly would we be able to tell them where to put it?
She just said.
Or for insurance. How much more money?
I can't hear you do that.
Okay, we'll table this, any vote on number 5 until our next meeting.
Since it was 3-3, we'll come back and have discussion.
But you'll be here all meeting.
Okay. I'm happy about that. All right, number 6.
I'm already in trouble.
7:30.
Well,
Let's
we wait till you leave, it'll be 3-2.
You've already voted, you can't. No, you can't vote again. There's no prevailing side, so you can't reconsider.
There is a prevailing side, both sides.
Nobody prevailing. See, prevailing means you won.
The last time we had this, you came back with a motion because you said you were on the prevailing side, it was 3-3.
That's what my vote.
And when
Just
we
change the
argued,
motion.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
we'll
we're
just
gonna
do it
discuss.
till then.
We're gonna discuss. Yeah, we'll discuss. We table, move on. We can find a couple of times.
what do you think?
CIP, Carmel Church Station was actually in the CIP, but I moved it over a year, so it would start next year. So if you wanted to put back in 200,000 to get us started, that would be where that would go, and it would just up the amount of money. I would still propose it would come from the detention center funds. Just can't spend it all in the summer. I mean, some of this we would have to stagger it in when we start. It would be what we want to do, but, Joey couldn't have.
Yeah, we're gonna put it in, so we have the ability to plan knowing there's money there.
There will be money available.
And site assessments and a wetland study and just stuff like that that we're going to need to do anyway.
Right, preparatory stuff you
And
got
then,
to do for you.
we may decide in 3-6 months, we go with Mr. Black's suggestion and say, let's do them both right now. Okay, Black is good.
So you want to put 5,000 here, 200.
200,000. The idea of
That was tossed out.
So we,
You just said you were gonna get rid of
water development. There are properties that come from water development.
It's on some cool water drive, your apartment.
That's part of Belmont.
Belmont, I know what you're talking about. Homeless. Around here.
I think it's close to 250 family homes.
What is your house?
Cool water development, that apartment complex.
They got it built.
They ain't taking it. I would change it. Doesn't matter.
All right, so we're gonna do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion on this?
I said, if we move this, that was the only change we're gonna make, we're still gonna do 300,000 for lights.
The,
do some research on it.
Right.
Leave it
yeah,
there.
so we're gonna leave it there, but we're still gonna have to approve everything expenditure.
Correct.
And the site, the latest net site,
Back up, Mr. Carter.
That's, I think it's.
Right there, right there.
Right, that's a borrowed amount.
That's borrowed.
I got the debt service of that in the general, in the debt service fund of the regular budget.
That's already working in.
Yeah, that's worked in on this column of other funds, all those new debt services for things for this year are down here. 19, that's for the cars. Reading on those numbers.
Further away you get from it, the harder it gets.
Thanks, Mr. Dean, say.
1.5 somewhere. Those are all. Those are all. 1.5's in there somewhere.
Great. And I will make sure everybody knows that we're not buying a fire truck this.
He does.
And I moved that the year to the right in the CIP. It was in the CIP request, I didn't fund it.
What is Bowling Green? I thought Bowling, the squad.
No, we brought squads in production now.
Okay, so the Bowling Green
And the
squad is.
engine one, I thought we could make it another year.
Okay.
They have 2 engines, and plus we've got a new reserve now, so if something goes
Okay.
out of order.
So that's right. Bowling Green squad.
Last year. This year's budget, yeah.
Right.
The squad
And you
is-
see it's on
yeah,
there,
real
second
fast.
B and C sites, yeah, right there.
30,931 interest.
That's, and those numbers come from, Davenport, Courtney Rogers worked up all the new borrowing and lease purchase estimates, so you go out and know. So those are not mine or Mr. Finney's, they're actually Davenport's. So I sent them, here's what we want to purchase, here's what the years we want to finance, the patrol cars, trash truck. So that stuff, that's how the CIP works, is you've either got cash that's coming in from the general fund, which I don't, but I've got cash coming in from the detention center fund and or finance. So, you know, everything, when you get all the way to the bottom of it, it's either the detention center funds, that number's gotta go up, because we just added, I gotta add the line into that, but it'll go up 201,000, and then that'll be what's left will be borrowing, so all the interest is already over in the regular budget.
I want to be careful, it seems that some of you will have that stuff.
Well, that's what I recommended. It's all, and some of it's being used in the school CIP as well. So in the school CIP, I'm recommending we use 284,000 or something, 254,000, which is their whole CIP. Other than the buses, and the buses we're transferring from the general fund to there, it goes to the schools, but the school CIP, it's all one time. To buy these buses. One's the special needs and then the regular other buses. And then 50,000, that's a restroom to 90,000, and the playground equipment for all the schools, and 50,000 for staff computers, and 50,000 for classroom technology. So that's their whole CIP, and it's all funded, other than the buses, from the detention center fund, one time.
Because I had 310.
All right, any other questions on number 6 before we move along to number 7? All right, number 7, designation of a top ranked response, RFP for custodial services.
They made a recommendation, I think we go through their recommendation. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go with the county's recommendation for a new custodial service.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the county's recommendation for custodial services. We have a second from Mr. Black. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Good job, Mr. Sheila. They didn't want you to read all that.
Yeah, no, we're all right.
We just wanted to
I
know.
didn't know that. Just to note, it was
Item
not
number
the, it was
8.
not the highest one on the list.
Right, it's the highest scoring.
The highest score, but not the highest cost.
Not the lowest, not the lowest cost.
Not the lowest or the highest, so that was good.
Any other issues? So I'll start off with Mr. Black. Any items you want to bring to the board's attention or discuss?
I think I'm good.
Mr. Underwood?
No, sir.
Mr. Seeley?
No, sir.
Ms. Long?
Make a motion to
And I have
adjourn.
none. And we have a motion to adjourn by
Second.
Mr. Seeley.
Second by Mr. Underwood.
Second by Mr. Underwood. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.